Hey everybody, Tony Gohard here once again for Punks Doing Stuff. And today we've got a little bit of some crazy ass news coming out from Hong Kong. Apparently, I didn't even know this because, I don't stay on top of politics or anything. But Hong Kong and China, it's one country, but it's two separate governments. Um, Hong Kong is supposed to do their own thing, and then China is supposed to hold their own shit. So we already know how fucking crazy China gets with their whole fucking restrictions on everything. You can only say this, you can only do this, you can only think this. And they have a lot of restrictions on different stuff. Some stuff you can't even look up in China. Like, let's take South Park, for instance. I'm not too sure if they are still completely banned over there in China, but I do remember that when they did their whole thing, that whole fuck China thing, that had gotten them banned from being played in China. So that happened. And Riz, dude from Dagger, he also runs Unite Asia. He put up a thing on Unite Asia, a fucking long ass thing. And I read it, and it is fucking gripping. And it is crazy that this kind of shit is actually happening. And, nobody's taking notice to it. Or at least here, people aren't taking notice to it in the US because, China is a whole far off thing. And then they have their whole fucking, COVID-19 cover up bullshit. And, that already kind of cements their whole, untrustworthy thing because they said one thing and then they did something else. They said something and then the numbers didn't add up and shit was just going all fucking wrong. Now, there was a thing that happened just recently to where they had signed some sort of paper to where China now has control over Hong Kong, and the whole thing just completely fucked up their entire stock market, their entire everything. So everything has just gone downhill. Like during the whole pandemic and all that, everything stayed more or less the same. Um, I'm guessing a little bit less, but it wasn't as bad. And then once that fucking paper signed, bam, their whole economy just fucking went, dropped, and that was it. Game over. So they are completely fucked now. And the Chinese government is the whole reason for that. And then they also said, or Riz had also put some other stuff in there about how the leaders of the protest and, other different people who were going against their whole fucking takeover and their fucking, I'm going to take this and what's going to happen is going to happen. The people who were spearheading that, they ended up dead. They were dead. They were found floating on the shore banks and shit like that. And then once the cops got there, of course, the cops were in the fucking pockets of the CCP. So the cops put out things saying that all of it was suicides. A lot of it, they were just like, oh yeah, this person just, decided to kill themselves. And then after they were dead, they decided to throw their bodies into the river. Fucking complete bullshit. So that stuff is happening. People are dying because of it, and then it's been going on for a while. The thing that Briz had put out, I'm actually getting to this kind of late because I just found it right now, but it was put up 5 days ago, saying that it's been going on for 11 months. That's a year, basically a year. So for a year they've been putting up with this bullshit, fighting back, fighting back. Um, Dagger had put out a song called Yellow Helmets, Yellow Hard Hats. I think it was Yellow Helmets, but they're hard hats. I guess over there in Hong Kong, it's vice versa, same thing. But that song was about how the heroes are actually the people that are out protesting, trying to stop this shit from going on. So you already know that the guys in Riz, all the guys in the punk scene, the hardcore scene, the metal scene, basically the same scene that you're in because you're watching this video. So that means that you have a fucking love for punk rock, hardcore, metal, and anything in between. Basically, our people are over there, and on that side of the world, they're fighting a government takeover. It's kind of similar to this whole, democracy versus socialism thing that's happening right here in the US right now. Only difference is that it's in a far more extreme scale because the whole democracy socialism thing over here is just words, letters, bullshit like that. Over there people are actually fighting and fucking people are getting shot tear gassed, beaten, fucking thrown over bridges, all kinds of shit like that, just for saying, you know, I'm a human and I have the right to be able to say what I want in the way that I feel. But the government, of course, is throwing their side on it and saying, no, you don't get nothing. Now, there is going to be a link in the description to the thing that I was reading, and it is long, but definitely read everything in there, because every sentence just gets more and more fucking crazy the more that you read it. And when I was reading it, I was thinking, that's fucking insane. There's no way that that shit could happen right now in the real world with how connected everybody is. But the government in China has their control over social media. They have the control over messages being sent, emails, anything secret that shouldn't be seen. They have control over that. So when they read it, they just fucking destroy it. It doesn't get out. So for, you know, being able to read this, I'm not 100% sure on how he did it, but I'm fairly sure that it's with VPNs and shit like that, because he did put a thing saying that before this happened, nobody thought about VPNs. It was fucking, you know, not even a thought, not even a glance. But then immediately after this whole government takeover thing happened, VPNs went fucking crazy. So I'm not even the slightest bit surprised if Riz has a VPN and that's how he's getting this stuff out and getting it underneath the wire to where they can't fucking read it and block it or do anything like that. So that is that, and it is fucking insane. So keep your eyes open for stuff like this. My best guess, whenever it comes to Chinese government and all that shit, don't trust a fucking word of it. You already know not to trust the fucking cops, because shit, the cops already have a bad fucking standing here in the U.S. So keep all that stuff in mind. I guess hit the like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed, stick around for the next video. Make sure you go to Unite Asia, check them out. There's plenty of fucking awesome bands and stuff to check out there. And if you click on the link below, I think there's a way to put some sort of message and, you know, just let Riz know what's up, that, you know, you stand strong with Hong Kong, because this shit is fucking insane. And if nobody says anything about it, nothing's going to happen. So the more voices we have saying something about it, then the more that the world's going to realize it, and the more that the world is going to try to right it. Not everybody in the fucking planet is bad. There are plenty of good people. There are plenty of bad people. But there are still good people who are going to fight the bad people. So just keep all that in mind, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.